What is it?
Helmet?
Yeah, it's a helmet. Here. So as many of you know, while I was sanding parts for the Droideka, just another day in the Regal Rebel workshop, I realized something. There, in the background, was a project I hadn't given proper attention to in I don't know how long. You might recognize this footage from a previous episode. I was priming Droideka parts and figured, why not get a base coat on the helmet while I'm at it? Multitasking is a Rebel's best friend. Priming's one of those steps that doesn't get a lot of glory, but it's crucial for everything else to work right. It lays down the groundwork for paint to stick and look its best. Then I moved on to the white base coat, and let me tell you, not all spray paint cans are created equal. I started with Duplicolor, which has this super clean, controlled spray tip, but then I switched to Rust-Oleum, and it was like trying to paint with a pressure hose. It laid down way more paint than I expected and was used to. It had a few runs I needed to fix, and at first I was definitely annoyed, but then I got creative, just like I always do. This paint that I have here, it's not bad paint, and I'm sure it's not 100% the paint's fault, but it's not the best paint to actually apply to this stuff. So I'm having a lot of running issues. So actually, while it was drying, I went ahead and just kind of dabbed it with my finger and created this kind of cool texture. So what I'm going for with that is just the weathered look. I'm going to be weathering this helmet quite a bit. Not going over the top or anything, but definitely planning on weathering it. So we're gonna do our black washes and brown washes and everything in between to really weather this up and make it look used. I'm not one to have ultra clean looking stuff. This next part was all about prep, masking. I made sure to cover everything I didn't want red, taking my time to get nice clean lines. The wife and I went back and forth on what this helmet was actually going to be. I really wanted to do a Delta 3-8, also known as Boss from Republic Commando. That game holds such a special place in my heart. But she made a great point. Why not save Delta Squad for a future full-scale project and make this one something original? That's when we decided to go full Regal Rebel with it. The custom red and white colors, custom backstory, and something truly one of a kind for my young Padawan. And of course, just before painting, I realized I hadn't masked off the mouth section. It wouldn't have ruined anything, but I wanted those details crisp, so I fixed it. With everything masked and ready to go, it was time for the red. After my lesson with the white paint, I had a much better feel for how this Rust-Oleum can behaved. I laid down a couple nice even coats, and for once in my life, it felt like everything was cooperating. The red over that clean white base really started to bring this thing to life. And yes, the moment of truth. Peeling back the masking tape is one of the most satisfying parts of the entire process. But also, it's one of the most stressful parts for me because if I masked it right, I'd get nice crisp lines. But if not, I wouldn't know until I would have to be going back in with sandpaper and more paint and basically starting all over again. Thankfully, everything came out absolutely beautiful. The lines were nice and sharp, and any minor imperfections, honestly, I just left them there. They're really perfect little details that make the helmet look like it's been through a few missions already. Especially those cheek lines. You'll notice that I actually left the masking tape a little bit rough on tear-offs, and I actually did that on purpose because that's just going to add to our weathering later. Now this is the part where I really got into it. The weathering is just so much fun and relaxing at the same time. This 5 or 6 minutes of footage, this is actually over 2 hours of real-time work, and I could have easily spent another 2 hours. I started with Liquitex acrylics, burnt sienna and raw sienna, mixed them with water to create like a rust wash. I hit the panel lines and crevices first, then used a green scour pad to knock it back in some areas where I didn't want as much. Once I was happy with the rust, I moved on to a black wash over the white areas in particular first. I made this mix a little bit more watery than I did for the burnt sienna, just to help it get into the crevices a little bit more, and it's just enough to add some subtle shadows without overpowering the rust. In hindsight, I probably should have done the black wash first, then layered in the brown selectively, but hey, this is all a big time learning process for me. I've never done a full-on helmet build before, so this is completely new. Then I moved on to the red areas to weather that up because it was just looking a little too clean in those areas with everything else being weathered already. And that's when it all started to come together extremely well. It was like watching the story of this helmet unfold in real time. Every smear, every scuff, every shadow, adding another chapter to its battle history. And let's be honest, weathering is where the magic happens. It's where you hide little print flaws, fix brush mistakes, and make this piece feel real, lived in, and authentic. That's the beauty of gritty clone helmets. If you're enjoying these kinds of builds so far, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. And hey, Regal Rebel merch is now live on Etsy. We're finally shipping internationally as well, so no matter what part of the galaxy you're in, you can rep the Rebellion. As always, thanks for watching, and remember, Rebellions are built on creativity. Now, on to the final paint reveal. Here's the finished paint job. I just took a minute to appreciate it because it's always wild to see how far these projects come. From a raw print to something that looks like it's seen action on Geonosis or even the underworld of Coruscant. It doesn't matter, it's just gritty, dirty, and it's full of heart. Now it was on to a full new experience for me. Installing a visor. I found a cheap sheet of plastic from Hobby Lobby in Fargo here, and I threw on some automotive window tint that I found at Fleet Farm, and I glued it in with some hot glue. This was my first ever attempt at doing a visor, and I definitely learned a few things for next time, but it gets the job done, and I'm actually pretty proud of it. My Padawan's gonna flip when he sees this.
Yeah, it's a helmet. Here. Hey, look at me. Hey. Oh, you're trying to eat your sandwich?